Hi, folks. This is Don Meissner with the North Country Fishing Report. One of the things that, after doing these shows for so many years, I try to think of new things that I've never talked about. And it's getting more and more difficult because I've covered an awful lot of things through the years. But one of the things I wanted to talk about today is what I found to be the danger of using little hooks. Now, what do I mean? If you're using a little bitty bait, like a little 1/16 ounce artificial lure, soft plastic, it's going to be more proportionate if it has a little hook. And also, if it has a little hook, those fish are going to take it in much more readily and much more easily. Well, that's all good because you're probably going to hook more fish. Even if it's a little hook, it'll hook into them. But here's the bad thing. When these fish hit something like an imitation crayfish or salamander or something, these are two of my favorite offerings in fishing for bass in our rivers. But when they take those in, you can see those fish come, if the water's clear, you can see them coming at the unbelievable speed to attack. And within a second of the attack, they're trying to swallow it. And if that hook is little, it's not going to get caught in their mouth. It's going to go directly into their stomach. And honestly, that's the biggest, it's the danger, because if you don't want to needlessly kill these fish, then you got to be able to get the hook out of them. This isn't a little thing. It's a little hook, but it's not a little thing. This is a major thing, because recently, when I went out in the Grass River and I'd hit a spot where there were a lot of smallmouth bass, and I was catching them almost on every cast, and I found 5 fish in a row that I brought in, and as soon as they hit, I raised the rod to set the hook, and I start bringing them in. 5 in a row had the hook down into their stomach area, and I struggled. First of all, if they're not a big bass, if they're a 10-incher, which is still a wonderful fish to catch, they'll leap and fight, but their mouth isn't that big where you get your hand in there, and it's hard to even get leverage on the hook because there's just not room. And so I've been thinking I got to increase the size of the hook. If I'm going to save these bass, I've got to go to a little bit bigger size hook, and that does make a difference. So while I can catch, I wish I could pass on what's taken me years and years to learn about catching these bass in these rivers. But while I can catch an awful lot of them, I was going to say a huge number, so forth. Well, that is a huge number. But I really don't want to kill them needlessly. And you got to remember, years ago, the size of bass you could keep, if you wanted to eat them, the size of the bass you could keep was 10 inches. Well, now it's 12 inches all throughout the state. In Black Lake, it's 15 inches. And an awful lot of the fish you're going to catch are not going to be 12 inches long. So even if you wanted to keep them, you really can't. And so we have to do everything we can to make sure that those fish can live again, to fight again, and grow bigger. But little hooks, while they can really help you catch more fish, they can also lead to the death of more fish. Until next time, folks, this is Don Meissner with the North Country Fishing Report.